said that you knew that secular people would see it, and you're saying things that are not PC, but you also knew that some of the things that you would write would anger the church. One of those things that that I went, oh,
Yeah.
it was on page 156. You mentioned the that can, without context, can be pretty jarring.
Yeah.
But you said you warn Christians about the empty promise of purity. And due to the purity pushback we're seeing right now, why did you feel the necessity to write about this, again, quote unquote, empty promise of purity? And you have to put it in context for people, or they're going to be like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Hit that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, first of all, when I wrote the book back in 2020 and 2021, the pushback against purity culture wasn't quite as strong as it is in this moment. So it's gaining steam. So, maybe a few more like caveats would have been helpful. I didn't necessarily see this momentum building up as it has, and it's probably just going to get worse, to be honest. But that's okay. I stand by what I wrote and and I still feel what I said.
I think you're right, by the way.
Sure.
I still think you're right. I'm not saying it was a wrong thing. It's just one of those things that I think without context, people are going to be like, what?
Totally.
But when you explain it, you bring it right back to where it needs to be. And I just wanted our audience to be able to hear that from you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, because honestly, that chapter has been taken out of context online multiple times. And it's been unfortunate the way that, people haven't actually engaged with what it says. They've just engaged with a one-liner or two-liner, which, is what happens. But the point is this, I think for a couple generations, at least, if not more. Well, let me start with this. It was good and right and necessary for the church to push back against the cultural momentum of the sexual revolution, as the family and sex and purity came under attack and were dismissed as old-fashioned and unuseful to us and passé. As families and marriage and children were devalued and even done away with, it was necessary, good, and right for the church to push back on that. And so I applaud my ancestors in the faith, grandparents, great-grandparents in the faith, for doing that. That's what they had to do. But as we are so prone to do, I think in many contexts, that pushback then turned into just a different idol inside the church. And it was another way of, sort of transactional living. And we put purity on a pedestal where only Jesus himself should be. We said, pursue purity, pursue abstinence. The good life is found when you stay pure. Now, it's absolutely true that there is blessing and goodness that flows out of remaining pure. Obviously, purity is holy and it's good, and our God calls us to those things. Absolutely. But if I look at purity and abstinence and expect that to deliver me soul deep peace and satisfaction and contentment, then I have made it an idol, just the way we might make finances or security or safety an idol. If I expect purity to pay me a good marriage, healthy kids, a happy life, which I think is what the purity movement accidentally taught many people. I'm not saying it was intentional, but we're so prone as a people to go, if I have that, then it will give me this, whether it's a terrible thing or a good thing. If I have that, then I'll have this value, this identity. I'll finally have arrived. And so I think that did happen with purity. I know it happened with purity. I mean, there's all kinds of people and books and friends that I have personally that are talking about this right now. So what I see now, the shrapnel that I see now from that, and I'm engaged in churches all over the globe through missions and through my own ministry, is women in multiple countries saying they feel less than if they are not married or if they don't have multiple children, that they feel disregarded, unneeded, less mature, seen as less sanctified. Whether people want to admit it or not, and it might be harder for men in the church to see than women because they're not in our spaces all the time. Whether people see it, observe it or not, the truth is we have made somewhat of a hierarchy in the church, and women who are married and have the most kids are at the top, and women who are unmarried and have no children are at the bottom.